Billion
Um,
market cap.
sorry, what?
What is the 3 billion market cap?
No. How did you get that song?
Where is the 3 billion market cap?
Oh, okay.
Where did I write it's a 3 billion market cap? I don't know. I don't know. Uh, well, I don't know what this is 3 billion market cap.
Well, Taco
Should
can
I?
hopefully.
Yeah, I'll just. Where did you find this 3 billion market cap?
Mm.
Mm-mm-mm. Oh, 1 second.
Oh,
1 second. Okay.
yeah.
Oh, okay. 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 So should I take this question?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead, and then we can start with that. It's no problem. He asked that yesterday, so.
Okay. 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 So the question is that how do you reach the figure of 2 to 2.5 sec? Okay. And can everybody hear me?
Yeah, we can. Well, at least I can, so I'm hoping everyone else can as well. Should be clear.
Yeah. So see, how is my calculation coming in? Okay. Let's be very. Firstly, we need to understand what is this valuation of 2 Swedish kronors per share is based on the post demerger strategy. Okay, so the concept is that the sum of the parts should be the valuation of the sum of the parts should be greater than the whole. Simplistically saying that if one demerges today's Nordic Mines from one company to two companies, wherein each shareholder gets one share of each company, the combined valuation of each company would be, in my calculation and my estimation, at a bottom range, okay, of 2 Swedish kronors per share. And 2 Swedish kronors per share, in my estimation, if you calculate it in dollars, would be something like $150 million odd. All right. That is my bottom range. Okay. And my higher range is round about 2.5 sec, which could be, another $200 million or something like that. Okay. So what I'm saying is that the asset today in the demerger strategy, as it were to be, okay, in my estimation, one can get a strike valuation of around about 2 Swedish kronors per share. Now, how did I reach that? Okay, how did I reach that? And that's important. Okay. So let's first go down to uh, whether There are demerger examples and case studies which are there in the industry today. Okay, and I guess Mr. Basil Botha yesterday asked me as to why are you giving the example of the oil industry. What I have done in my analysis, I have done what we call as deep industry segmentation, which basically means segmentation along the lines of gold mining. And then I have done broad industry segmentation, which basically means the mining industry in general, which in addition to oil also includes other commodities. As a starting point, when I analyze the benchmark company today, which is a pretty reputed, it's a company listed in a global stock exchange, and a reputed global stock exchange. It's listed in Toronto Stock Exchange, incidentally. It's got an operating history of 17 years. This company is in the gold processing business. It processes gold, okay, and it manufactures doré bars. And the model that I have is pretty much benchmarked to the model that this company has. It wasn't as if I benchmarked this company knowing that this company is there. If you remember that Nordic Mines had announced on the 30th of November 2016 about this outsourcing model and what have you. That was an original piece of work that had come out of Lao Tzu, but post that I was not convinced that there isn't or there aren't companies, whether it at the broad industry segmentation level or at the deep industry segmentation level, okay, there should be cases of this sort existing, and indeed there were. So here is a company which is basically in the gold processing business, okay, and it's engaged in doré bar production, okay, through an approved ore processing operation. It has got, I think it's got a 20-year operating history. Year ending 2016, it produced something like, or rather, I would say processed something like 73,500 ounces of gold. And it essentially, the year-on-year growth is something like 15 to 20%. So at the level of processing 73,500 ounces of gold, okay, and getting a net income at the level of 3% with a working capital of something like $12 to $13 million. This ore processing company listed in Toronto Stock Exchange, the ore processing business is valued in the range, if I take the range, a 1 year price range, okay, if I take how the prices have moved in the last year, the market capitalization has been in the range of $65 million to $82 million, precisely. This is only the ore processing business. So I've specifically taken out a business or a gold mining company whose core business is processing gold. And the last year market cap ranged between $65 million to $82 million, which in a sense, if you take it as Swedish kronor per share basis, it comes to within a range of 0.90 Swedish kronor to 1.2 Swedish kronor per share. All right. Now, the business model in the demerger case is exactly similar to this company. It is no big deal. I mean, when it's exactly the same. It's exactly the same, and I see that the the gold which is processed, which is 73,000 odd kilos of gold, or ounces of gold, should be rough around the processing that Liva should do, not being dependent on other gold coming from other mines. Only from Liva post demerger. Today, I have assumed that the threshold gold production per year should be around about 1,000 kilos annually before demerger. Post demerger, the assumption is very clear that the cash cost will further come down to around about 30 to 40%, and as a result of which we will be operating at the mine at around about 600 to 650 dollars. And when I put all this into my calculation, I see that we are pretty much benchmarked at the same level as this company is in Toronto Stock Exchange. Apples to apples, we are of the same size, we can process the same amount of gold, and the business model that we have with respect to the strategic investor who would buy into the processing business will operate at the same margin as this company is, right? And it is not a surprise because manufacturing and trading business more or less operates at the same margin. Okay, it is no rocket science. So if this company can be valued at 0.9 SEK, apples to apples, if the scale is exactly the same as what Liva is, if the amount of gold produced is exactly the same, I would think that the processing plant as such is bigger in size than the benchmark company that is there in TSX. So we are actually better off, okay, in one way or the other, all right? And only on the basis that we can process Liva gold towards about 1,500 kilos a year, okay, I think we should be valued anywhere between 0.9 SEK to 1.2 SEK. Now, what I have not mentioned in my presentation, or I have just given a fleeting remark, is the fact that there is a very distinct possibility that the strategic investor who would be buying into the processing plant will also merge his balance sheet, or rather will merge his business into the processing plant, because it only helps him at the end of the day. His is a trading balance sheet. We've got an asset. If an asset complements a trading balance sheet, his credit worthiness increases. So it's a win-win situation. All right. I distinctly remember that somewhere in the not yesterday's webinar, but about a month or a couple of months back, the shareholders were asking as to why should anybody buy into the processing plant. And the reason for that is that I think one needs to get down to how wholesaling business functions, all right? And wholesaling business is basically a business that is omnipresent. It is very strongly present in the Indian, Chinese, UAE markets, all right? India and UAE are some of the biggest players in gold trading are the Indian and UAE subcontinent. So the advantage to them, okay, for buying into the processing plant, okay, is of course they get their hands on the gold offtake at industry level margins, and what they also get in addition to the gold offtake, which they would include in their turnover at the end of the day, okay, they also get a fixed asset in their balance sheet, as a result of which their combined business credit worthiness increases many times over. Okay, so what happens is that when the credit worthiness increases, all right, the total combined business of the strategic investor is buying into the smelting plant, his turnover also increases. So not only does he get the gold from Liva, but he also has synergies with his turnover. Okay, so because the credit worthiness increases, he can trade more. All right. So it is a complete win-win situation for the strategic investor to come in and buy out the processing plant. And I have not mentioned the merger part, because the merger part, these balance sheets are top-heavy balance sheets. They range. The guys whom I'm talking to, the balance sheets range between. There are three companies that I've talked to, and they range between $100 million to $600 million to $3.5 billion. Okay, so there are three companies where the minimum has been $100 million. The second company is $650 million, and third company is $3.5 billion. Okay, so my plan is to, if rights issue is approved and we get to the demerger phase, my plan is to merge a top-heavy balance sheet of something like $600 million to $3.5 billion into the processing plant. Okay, and that increases the enterprise valuation of the asset much higher than 0.90 to 1 SEK. The 0.90 to 1 SEK valuation that I have obtained, okay, is only on the basis that there is no merger. If I merge it, it's a different deal altogether. It's the dynamics change. So the 0.901 SEK is a perfectly achievable valuation, if at all we have got a sense of how much Liva can produce. And this assumption that I'm making, the Liva will produce around 70 to 75,000 ounces post demergers, because the cash costs, combined cash costs, will decrease. Okay, so that is my first step, okay, towards getting the first valuation for the processing plant. Because I know at what level the processing plant will operate, at what margins it will operate, okay, what will happen is that the demerged mine, the residual business, which is the mining business, will be in the business of selling the ore to the processing plant. Okay, and if it sells the ore, automatically in the business model, the way it is coming out is that the processing plant will pay the price of the ore. So it will be discounted to London Metal Exchange, because it's not gold or doré, it's ore. So the beauty of the model is that, if at all you see the model which has been presented in the PowerPoint, you will see that the resultant sale that the mining business gets is that of the ore. Okay, so higher the quality of ore, higher the revenues; lower the quality of ore, lower the revenues. That is not the point. The point is that the mine becomes a cash flow driven business. Okay, because you get steady cash flows from selling your ore, and your resultant EBIT margin, that is your earnings before interest and taxation margin, it goes to as high as 35 to 36%. But that is relative. Okay, that is relative because you are also decreasing your revenues, so your margin increases. But if you take a combined ROE, a blended ROE model, you would see that at a margin of something like 35%, and at a reduced revenue, the mine would be valued at around about 1 to 1.5 SEK, and the processing plant would be valued at around about 1 SEK. Okay, and the combined value would be at a bottom range of 1 plus 1, which is 2, and a higher range of 1 to 1.5, which is 2.5. So that is the way you get the valuations. Now these valuations are listed multiples. Okay, so it has not been invented by me. These are listed multiples existing in the market today. So it becomes very easy to benchmark valuations if at all you have listed examples. Okay, and I have taken the multiples, the valuation multiples as they exist in the marketplace today, and have applied it to Nordic Mines. If at all demerger happens, mining business at X margin will be valued at what? Processing plant at Y margins will be valued at what? And when I take the listed multiples, I get a bottom line range, rather I would say a bottom range, a lower range of 1 plus 1, which is 2 sec, and 1 plus 1.5, which is 2.5 sec on the higher range. If that answers your question.
I hope. There you see the chatter, right? This valuation is
Yes,
based.
Taco Trader has asked, this valuation is based on an operational project. Yes, it is. It is absolutely. I mean, the company has forget an operational project. Taco Trader, it is got a 20 years operating history, so it's 3 times older than Nordic Mines. And I was quite surprised because, you know, Taco Trader, I didn't on 30th of November when this announcement came in, it was essentially my creation. It was my work because I understand the downstream part of the business of gold extremely well, and this was discussed with the traders or the trading houses. Okay, and when I illustrated that business plan on the 30th of November. Post that, okay, there were lots of arguments put by the board and the management that point in time led by Legacy. And I was answering these questions on the basis of my interactions with the Indian traders. But I took a step back, okay, and I said that it isn't possible that this is an original strategy. It has to be there in the marketplace. And I went in, and I believe there were some good contacts that I had from big consultants who have been working in the mining industry, who were kind enough to tell me that I was correct. And this is amongst the top 6 global consultancy houses. And they gave me the example of this company, which has got a 16-year-old history, 20-year-old operating history, which is exactly doing what has been announced on the 30th of November. About Nordic Mines, yes, this would be in my so the rights issue will bring in $8 million of equity capital, and as soon as the rights issue is successful with $8 million, I will pledge Nordic Mines Marknad asset, leverage it to $5 million with an option, okay, of converting that debt into equity at 0.60 to 0.72 kronas range. So we are not converting it at any dilution. And then I will announce the demerger, okay. And the demerger announcement will be followed up by a demerger prospectus. And the demerger prospectus will include the strategic investor coming into the demerger with a $6 million investment into the processing plant. So till the point in time demerger prospectus is passed, okay, the market will already value in about $19 million, $8 million from the rights issue, $5 million debt, converted to equity at 0.60 to 0.72, and the strategic investor coming down with a $6 million equity investment into the processing plant. Now, on the other hand, I don't understand what you mean by an operational project, but just to get myself clear, Taco Trader, my plan is, and I've been repeating it again and again, okay, my plan, whether it's the rights issue plan or the demerger plan or the IPO plan, okay, and all the 3 are actually included in one plan. It does not focus on gold production. I'll be very honest with you, in the sense that it takes the company, it tells the market that we are ready to produce gold. Okay, it gives the feasibility of Liva to produce gold. All right, it establishes a very sound business model to produce gold. But it doesn't aim to produce gold, because from an equity, from an ROE perspective, that is of no use to me. from a return on equity perspective, what is really important is to prove, okay, the feasibility to an IPO market or to a strategic investor that the mine has got the economic feasibility now to produce 1,500 kilos of gold at a blended cash cost of around $600 to $650 an ounce. Once I do that, my equity valuation will be around about 1 to 1.5 SEK. For your information, typically a gold mine, when it starts producing the gold, and very simplistically put, the market cap actually, it depreciates. So the peak of any gold mine valuation is about 3 to 4 months before you can actually produce mine. So my target is to prove to the IPO market or the strategic investment market, which is basically sustainable mining players or private equity players or institutional players, okay, that this company now is mining ready. Okay, my job is to just kind of do that. Once I do that, I'm pretty much clear that I get my valuation for the equity. I'm really not bothered about producing the doré bar. That is the operational responsibility of the strategic investor who comes on and buys into the processing plant. Okay, and of course the management and the board will takes over the mining team. As a shareholder and as an investor, I'm today, okay, when I'm communicating to you guys, I'm basically bothered about what is my return on equity model and how will I produce that. Okay, so I think that, and I would motivate all the shareholders to typically be asked the same question. It is not when will you produce the gold, it was how will you produce the gold. The when part and what part is not what the market values. The market values the how part, the process of how you would produce the gold, the economic feasibility. So the demerger model, the rights model plus the demerger model will surely take the mine to a level where you can easily plan the mine for production. Desert Sun has said that I would like to review this company myself. What is the name so I can look it up?
Yeah.
Desert Sun. Yeah, Desert Sun. I will for this. I think both of us also trying to take the. Listen, in my presentation, I have given everything with regards to the company. Okay, so what's in a name? The name could be Apple or Microsoft for all it takes. What you have to be really interested in is what is the balance sheet, okay, and what is the background, how much gold does. So you have to understand the financials and the operating history, which has been given in my PowerPoint presentation. The name of the company is not is not something that anybody should be interested in, but it has, the name of the company has been kept confidential, and it will be of course exposed of in the EGM. Okay, but as I say, if you really want to get confident of this company, you just have to go to my PowerPoint presentation. The financials and the background of this company has been given in pretty good details. You should be bothered about that and not the name. I mean, the name is not something which is interesting. The interesting part is the financial highlights, okay, and how much gold do they process, what is the operating history, how much do they grow year on year, how much did they do last year, okay, what is the EBITDA margins, what are the revenues year and year in 2014, 15, 16, 17, what has been the gross profit, what has been the EBITDA, net income, what has been their earnings per share, what is the working capital, what is the long-term debt. All of this has been summarized in my presentation. If you look at it, you will immediately get what I'm trying to talk about. But to answer your question specifically, I will unveil the name of the company at the EGM.
Okay, that's good. I think we can go back to what Anneli said before, summarizing why Lao Tzu is opposing FDR and why. Or if you want.
Yeah, Desert Sun has said, I believe in trust but verify. That's what I want to do. Yes, I understand. So I've given everything of the company in my PowerPoint presentation. I've given everything, okay, except the name. The name I will put it at the EGM. Okay, the reason for that is very simple. I think it is a fantastic strategy, and I believe that that is where I'll be putting my money in. Okay, there are certain analytical insights that every investor comes across with. I have analyzed my investment very acutely. Okay, from this angle, I need to keep it confidential till the point in time everything becomes official. But all the numbers, the financial numbers and the company history and the background has been given off. I think the trust is in the balance sheet, right? The trust is in the numbers. The trust is in the background of the company. Trust is not in the name. Okay, so that answers your question. But I will, for your sake, your trust will be 100% answered at the EGM. Please come for the EGM, and I will least of all give the name of the company. That's not a problem.
That's good. All right.
Okay. What is the next question? I think Momani has.
Yeah, exactly. I know, Anneli.
Momine.
Yeah,
No, there is no mine.
Oh, no mine. Okay, but I wanted to say, do you want to start with that, or do you want to, because Anneli wrote before, if you want.
I will just
take. My question is up there. It's from Momani.
I know, summarizing what it is.
Yes.
I know.
Yeah,
for everyone.
So Nomime has asked, since you previously said you lacked experience, specifically from the mining industry, who has created the plan and, for example, found out that the processing plant is oversized? Would you be able to present numbers and facts for such? What studies have been regarding the demerger and its benefits, specifically regarding Nordic Mines? See, Nomime, the fact, this has got nothing to do whether one understands mining. This is not a mining question. It is a financial question. Okay, it is not a mining question. Okay, so it's got nothing to do with lack of experience or having the experience of the mining industry. Okay, I think it is a very aggressive financial question. Okay, today the capacity utilization of the process, there are two facts, okay, that I can give you. Okay, and you should, I don't know how old are you as an investor into Nordic Mines, but you should go back to the history of Nordic Mines way back in 2010 and 2011, and all the data is available over there. You just need to go and do some hard work and take out all that information, listed company. You see what happened in 2011, okay, is that the gold prices were at something like $1,700 an ounce. So the whole mine was planned for a minimum price of $1,700 an ounce and upwards of that. Okay, so the management and the investors are betting on the fact that the gold prices will go over $1,700. All right, and at that point in time, the statistics that came, the numbers that came out of the management that existed then was that the cash cost is at around about $500 to $600 an ounce. You see, and what happened was that the margins that the market discounted, okay, at that point in time was something like $1,000. All right, so at $1,000 margin, okay, you would the market capitalization of the mine was around about $600 million. Okay, 2012, this estimation was considered to be wrong. Okay, let's not get into why, how, and all, but it was considered to be grossly wrong. Okay, and the price was not, the cash cost was not 1,000. Sorry, it was not $600, but it was towards $1,300 to $1,400 an ounce, considering whatever the Euro USD exchange rate was then. And that is the point in time when the gold prices started coming down, and obviously everybody knows the trend from there on, wherein equity started burning out, and you had a situation where the cash cost was more than the gold price. All right, Now, when you see that, okay, when you see that, when you bake in a cash cost of $600 an ounce, all right, you are basically baking in a lot of gold passing through that processing plant in a very simplistic way, all right. So you're baking in a throughput which is much higher, okay, than what exists today, all right. So today, as we speak, post all of this, I mean, today as we speak in 2015 when we acquired the asset, all right, we were operating, the numbers say that we were operating at a capacity utilization of 25%, which means that 75% gold, or rather I would say 75% of the capacity of the plant was remaining unutilized. So in simple words, okay, when you process 25%, okay, in simple words, the lack of 100% capacity utilization would mean that you are adding in 75% cost any which ways. Okay, so that is proof enough to understand that the plant is oversized. It is oversized. All right. As an example, you guys, all the shareholders, should go and see the size of Dragon Mines processing plant. Dragon Mines processing plant is in Swatliden. You should see the processing plant of Dragon Mines. See the size of that processing plant. The size of that processing plant, okay, is 75% lesser than the size of Nordic Mines. Alternatively, it is only 25% of the capacity of Nordic Mines. But it processes, at its peak, it was processing doré bars, taking the concentrate from Mandalay Resources, about 1,000 kilos, from Endo Mines, about something like 500 to 600 kilos, and their own mines to round about 600 kilos. So in total, at peak, okay, they were processing gold in their processing plant, okay, from 3 mines, totaling something like 2,000 kilos odd, at a size which was 75% lesser than Nordic Mines. So there are evidential facts, okay, that are there on paper today, wherein it can easily be proved, okay, without any doubt, that the plant is oversized. Okay, and there is, I mean, let's not forget the cost of making that plant was 60 million euros. You see, it was 60 million euros. And that's another thing, that cost has been taken off because UniCredit, which loaned the amount to Nordic Mines, wrote off the debt, and that's how we got our share. That is where Lao Tzu acquired the company. All right, it was a distressed sell. But it would be very interesting for you to go through the numbers which are already historically present in Nordic Mines website, okay, which I've just illustrated. But more than that, you should also see my PowerPoint presentation where I have benchmarked the processing plant company, whose processing plant is exactly of the same size as ours. Probably a trifle lesser, I would say about 20% lesser in size, but they produce something like 2,000 kilos of gold, right? And third data point is that you should actively go down to Dragon Mining and see what is the size of their processing plant in Swatliden, and not this year, but in 2015 and 16, how much did they process? Because I believe Endo Mines has stopped production, so they have stopped supplying gold. But 2015 will give you a very good data as to how much a processing plant, which is 75% lesser in size than Nordic Mines, how much it has produced.
All right.
Okay. So Desert Sun. Desert Sun, I will take your question, but let's go down to some other shareholders. I will take your question. I understand you said you could produce gold at around 500 to 600. How is it that possible when the company was never produced at that level? Well, Desert Sun, I think that, see, Desert Sun, I think that you have to go through my, see, Desert Sun, I will not, this is a webinar and I have as much as time possible to spend per shareholder. And I have spent close to around about 14 days making my presentation, okay, which is made public and also gone to the board. I think you should go down to my presentation because my presentation very clearly articulates how it is $600. There is a very clear scenario planning that I've done with numbers, okay, with very detailed numbers, okay, and proven how it's $500 to $600. You have my mobile number, which is, and you have my email ID. I would motivate you to go through my presentation in details and then talk to me, because then otherwise it is a waste of time. You should go through the presentation because this question is very clearly answered in the presentation.
Okay, that's good.
Okay, and this presentation is also made public to the shareholders. So it is not that it is only confidential to the board. I've distributed. So I think you should, because the numbers are put in very great details. Okay, so if I take you through all of these, it will take another 1 hour and I won't be able to answer. I think you should go to the presentation and you can write me an email independently. There are shareholders who write me emails independently, and you can ask any of the shareholders if answers are not given. Please write me an email and I will give you a detailed answer. But I would expect you and respect me that you should go through the PowerPoint, to the presentation, and understand the presentation, then ask me questions. Okay, Buddha Carola. Okay, okay. Desert Sun has said, where can I see it? Please provide a link. Okay. So is Annalie Enebe in this presentation? Is she there in the webinar?
She should be, but she cannot. Yeah, she's here.
Yeah, yeah. So she's represented by something called Momani, and she says yes.
Yes.
So
Yes.
Annalie,
Yes, I'm here.
there is this Desert Sun who has said,
Yes.
can you provide a link? Is there a way you can
Yes.
give up the presentation, please?
Yes, I have
Or
distributed.
Desert Sun, you can just give me your email ID and I will forward you that presentation.
Yes,
No problem.
the easiest way is if Desert Sun just gives you his or her email. Otherwise,
Yes, so
I have
Desert Sun,
submitted this.
So Desert Sun, you can give me, yeah, I mean, my email ID is public, so you can take the email ID from anybody and everybody. And you can give me your email ID. I will pass on the presentation to you. No big deal. All right. Yes. Okay. So I have your email ID now, and I will give you the presentation as soon as the webinar gets over today itself, sometime around.
All right.
Okay. So now let's get down to any other question?
Yeah, why Laosu is opposing FDR, a summary for new listeners.
Okay. Well, again, I'm trying to struggle as to how to make it simple in a short period of time.
Yeah.
Because it could be a detailed answer.
Yeah.
Okay. So the way I see it, okay, you see, first of all, the first announcement that was done by FDR, okay, that was, of course, on the face of it, as everybody knows, there was a counter option that went through on the rights version, because I simplistically thought, it was very clear in my head. See, okay, the simple answer to this is very clear. You are a shareholder and I am a shareholder, okay? So my task and my objective, okay, today is to stay invested in Nordic Mines with the single-minded objective, okay, with the single-minded objective of maximizing the value of my 22% holding. Okay, that's my objective. Okay, And that should be anybody's objective, okay? And that should be your objective as well, how to maximize the shares, right? So, and this is best answered, to me at least, if there is a business case in Nordic Mines, okay, that can produce a safety margin of a good 30 to 40% at a gold price of $1,080 an ounce, all right? And after studying the FTR, FTR deal across various stages of its shaping up, okay, it's important for you to understand that, you know, honestly speaking, I mean, there are so many papers that have exchanged hands, okay? I can easily compile at least a file of it, okay, and tell you very clearly that what I personally saw of the Lao Tzu of the FTR deal when we first interacted with FTR, and then of course section 2.8 was a new chapter which came in. Then I went down to Bombay, met them up, okay. Then there was some kind of a non-binding MOU signed. Then there was, of course, the JV papers came in. The JV papers did not reflect a lot of what was said. Then there was, at the latest is of course the Pandian finance papers, which of course also does not reflect a lot what was said. Cutting the long chase short, there were various stages of FTR shaping up, and Lao Tzu came down to the conclusion that the deal that FTR had marketed is not the same deal as it is being discussed today. The deal at its best, okay, if and only if FTR were to do the deal in Nomi and not in Nordic Mines Maknad, okay, as also what is the expectation of the board, because the board told me that the priority expectation of FTR is to do the deal in Nomi and not Nordic Mines Maknad. So if the deal at its best, when it was announced way back somewhere around 2 to 3 months back when we first interacted, if it were to be done in Nomi, okay, the market would have priced it at 0.28 SEK, which it did prior to Nasdaq halting trading. So that price was 0.28 SEK, and when I do my maths, I clearly see that the market has read the announcement and the market has priced it at 0.28 SEK, which if you do a simple mathematical calculation, you will reach the same figure. But stress on the fact that if it is done in Nomi, I think the market did not price in that post the split happens that, you know, 51% or 60% or whatever goes to FTR and 49% remains in Nomi. The market has not priced that in. The market is priced in, if at all the deal is done in Nomi, okay, what is the price? Which is 0.28, which is absolutely correct. Okay. At that level, if you at 0.28 SEK, okay, the rights issue that I had marketed, which simply said $6 million equity through rights and $6 million debt through pledging, convertible at 0.72, 0.60 to 72. The enterprise value and the earnings per share, or whichever valuation multiple that you take, okay, was far better off than 0.28, simply because of the fact that 100% of the upside of successful rights issue belongs to Nomi shareholders. So in my estimation, the rights issue has been marketed at, I think, 0.25 or 0.28, and a successful implementation of it, if all you add cash onto it and the plan, it should be somewhere around 0.5 to 0.60 SEK. Okay, so rights issue is a tool to increase the market capitalization and value of the shareholders. An external investor will not like that, will not like somebody to do a rights issue. For example, when Lao Tzu was external to Nordic Mines in 2015, I distinctly remember that I and Vinod Sethi were giving a call to Eva Kaiser saying that why don't you scuttle the rights issue? Why don't you give us a directed issue? Because we knew that if rights issue was successful, it increased the market cap. If it increases the market, it increases our cost. It was a different deal altogether. That the rights issue was not successful and we could get the price that we wanted. Okay. In the same way, if rights issue is successful, it will be a deterrent to a strategic, to an FTR kind of an investor, because the cost of entry increases. Okay. So the changed transaction structure today. So I'm talking at 0.28. I'm talking at 0.28. At 0.28, it is a shitty deal. Okay. Now let's go forward in understanding what happened after that. After that, there was a joint venture agreement that came in, which basically said that, which simplistically said that FTR is going to use Nomi assets to fund its own capital that it is committed to this agreement. In simple words, there is no direct equity. There is no risk money coming in. Simple as that. So he's going to pledge those assets in whichever way. We will come down to that. Okay. And I really think it's high time that those papers are made public. But they will pledge that asset, get the money, and use that money as their equity. All right. So in simple words, okay, FTR is nothing but the middle person. It's acting like an intermediary. That, okay, guys, I will bring you some money by pledging your asset, but I want 60%. That is exactly what the deal is all about. Okay, that a middle person has come in, I will raise funds for you. For that, I want 60%. That's exactly what it is happening. That's what the deal is all about at the end of the day. All right. And when I see the next paper beyond the JV paper, which is the Pandion financing gold financing papers, that is even a shittier paper. So if I combine the joint venture paper and the Pandion finance papers and try to figure out that, hey, I mean, what is at the end of the day the strike valuation between these two papers for existing Nomi shareholders, I simply, okay, get down to a conclusion that it is a bankrupt deal that he is marketing. The market will definitely see through these papers. I try to price in bankruptcy. So in simple words, the valuation will be far lesser than 0.28 also. Okay, so I mean, if anybody, I mean, I would say if FTR can convince me at the EGM as to what is the strike valuation that they're giving to the Nomi shareholders, and if it is good enough, okay, why should anybody fight with any investor putting in money to develop Nordic Mat? I'll be the happiest person, okay, to accept the deal. But the deal, okay, should very transparently tell what is the benefit of to the existing Nomi shareholder vis-a-vis what are the options available to Nomi. Today, the options available to Nomi, as I see, is not even better. It is much, much, much better than what he's saying. He is pricing in bankruptcy in today's papers. At best, he was giving us 0.28. At 0.28, it was a shitty deal. Okay, in today's paper structure, it is. I just think that rather than I talking, he should give the papers. He should make it public. So I think there is a very substantial reason, as to why I am opposing FTR. And if FTR can answer my questions, okay, at an operating level, at an enterprise value level, stroke an MPV level, okay, at a value of equity level, okay, I will be very happy to partner with FTR. I mean, I have already given a proposal to FTR independently and via the board, and the board has also tried, saying that why don't we coexist? Why don't we do rights, bring in the money and invest in the joint venture with you? He has rejected it because he's not interested in anything lesser than a majority. And I know why he's interested in a majority, because he cannot do this kind of a deal as what has been illustrated in the joint venture and without having majority. He cannot do it. And the way I see it is that if one were to accept the FTR deal, in my analysis, it is there is bankruptcy and there is, buying time for bankruptcy. Okay, so I'm pretty sure that the little that I understand about valuations and markets, once these papers are exposed and once the board says that we are doing the FTR deal and the EGM votes for the FTR, okay, I will not be surprised if the market bakes in bankruptcies, because the papers are basically a deal which personifies bankruptcy for Nomi's shareholders. It's as simple as that.
All right.
Do you know of any larger shareholder supporting the FTR deal? Well, what do you mean by larger? I don't understand. You need to give a figure to it.
There's, I think, maybe she's referring to, there's another, I think, Indian shareholder with like a Nordic.
See, I will tell you one thing. Okay, I think this question needs to be asked to Vinod Sethi, because some of those shareholders whom you are referring to have a relationship with him. What I can tell you very clearly, okay, is that there are quite a lot, apart from Lao Tzu, there are at least couple of shareholders, at least 3 shareholders, who have a percentage of greater than 2 to 2.5%, say greater than 2% of Nomi, who are supporting the Lao Tzu rights issue, and could be possible that they might also participate in the rights issue. A lot has changed, Buddha, from the point in time that we all met FTR and the papers that have been made evident to even the larger shareholders. So what I can tell you, okay, is what Vinod Sethi has told me. And if Vinod Sethi does not stick to his words, okay, or what he has given me in writing, then that's his business. But what I can tell you transparently, that I and Vinod Sethi have been talking practically every 2 days, at least once for about 30 minutes. Okay. And this deal, when I started reading the joint venture papers, I was not too surprised with the contents of the joint venture papers, because it was I who had warned the board and the management in writing, even before the FTR papers could have been, the announcement was done, that it could be quite possible that FTR is leading the model towards the model that was illustrated in the joint venture, which is basically a pledging model and all of that. Okay. So when I asked Vinod Sethi, he said that the contents of the joint venture is diametrically opposite to what Vinod Sethi had discussed with FTR. And what was discussed is that he will put a direct equity, okay, into the business, that is risk money into the business, and it would have nothing to do with pledging the asset, okay. Interestingly, very importantly, I asked him, Vinod, did you endorse this deal? Have you endorsed this joint venture? Because this is a complete surprise. Okay. So he told me, Pranay, why don't you cancel off that clause of the pledging? I said that if I cancel off, my lawyer is telling me that 90% of the agreement becomes obsolete. So he was so shocked with that. He said that, Pranay, I think it is, if that is what the thing is, okay, then I think it is much better that you do your rights issue immediately and forget this deal. So Vinod Sethi and some of the Indian shareholders were supporting FTR on the direct equity model, wherein he puts $15 million for whatever, 51% or what have you. Okay. But Vinod Sethi, in writing as many times and as early as recent as yesterday or day before yesterday, is insisting that the board should do the rights issue immediately without wasting any time. Okay, and cancel the FTR, because that is not what the deal was. So I can only quote what Vinod Sethi is saying, and Vinod Sethi has also told me that he's coming for the EGM. He's coming for the EGM. So as per what Vinod Sethi is saying, he is saying very clearly that please go and do the rights issue. Okay, with a warning, which also I should be very transparent. He's saying, Pranay, you have to explain the demerger in a very clear way to the board members. And please tell them that the demerger is not happening on day one. It will take about 6 or 7 months before the demerger can happen, because they are under the impression the demerger will happen on day one. Okay, because if you explain it to them, I think they'll be a lot more comfortable in also accommodating themselves to the demerger and the rights issue plan. Okay. But interestingly, he cancels off the FTR deal. He says that it is nonsense. It is complete nonsense, because if that is what the deal is, then why can't we do the same thing? We can also pledge the asset. I mean, he puts $0.8 million today. Lao Tzu's personal risk is much higher than $0.8 million. So it is, I don't think so we should get into all of that, but it's, he very clearly cancels off the FTR deal and says it very categorically that he's not backing the FTR deal. So if the person who has bought the FTR deal is cancelling it, okay, what else do you want to know? Yeah, Philips Securities has got some shares which are sizable, and they are in relationship to Vinod Sethi. But I can't say anything about Philips Securities, except for the fact that the relationship is with Vinod Sethi. And I can tell you very categorically that Vinod Sethi has told that he doesn't support the FTR deal in the current format as it has come. In the joint venture agreement and in the Pandion Finance agreement, he does not support it.
All right. Do we have?
I mean, I'm in touch. So Momani, I think that yeah. So there is Momani who that's Annalie. Annalie says she represents 13.4% of the shares, and plus Lao Tzu's whatever 21-22%, plus some other shareholders. Yes, absolutely. That this is factually correct. I have been told by Momani that they have collected 13.4%, and that 13.4%, of course, along with my 3-4%, which is external to Lao Tzu, plus Lao Tzu's 21%, supports the rights issue and the demerger plan. And if I add those shares, it comes to round about, today as we speak, it comes to round about 37% or 38%, something like that.
All right. Do we have someone else who has any questions they want to ask? You can write.
Well, I think, Nima, for me to be interested in these webinars, my motivation is also to understand, because I've always maintained, yes, the level playing field of Lao Tzu will be slightly bigger than, say, the public shareholders, simply because of the fact that I've got sizable amount of shares.
Yes.
But the equation of investment will remain the same. The equation of staying invested or not staying invested, equation of whether FTR should be taken, not taken, would be the same. You see, what I'm also interested, I can tell you very categorically, okay, with all transparency, right? and which I've also told very clearly, okay, to the board and to FTR in writing, guys. I've told them, okay, that Lao Tzu is only 21% or 22%. That means 78% is public. Why do you have to listen to Lao Tzu only? You have to go down to the 78% because they control the company, not Lao Tzu. This has been told to FTR. This has been told to the board. The EGM that has been called to include the FTR proposal in the EGM has been Lao Tzu's focus. Lao Tzu has motivated the board to do that. Guys, please be very clear about it. I have told the board and FTR, invited FTR to EGM, personally through my email to Michael Hepburn, saying that, Michael, 78% are the decision makers, not 22%. And the reason why I'm interested in this webinar is also, okay, to understand where this 78% comes from, because collective wisdom of 78% will be more correct than 21%. You see, try to understand what is my vested interest of talking to you guys. Okay, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe 78% is correct. So the collective wisdom of 78% is much higher than 1% controlling 22%. So my academic interest if on talking to or to Annalee Enebe or to in this webinar has been very clear to understand where they're coming from. And Annalee Enebe is absolute proof. When she came down with her proposal of 13.4%, I've been very clearly telling Annalee, I want to know, why are you supporting me? Okay, and this should be on factual reasons, not because somebody is a crook and not a crook. I'm not bothered about all of that. I'm only bothered about financially proven facts. On the facts that I've given, have you understood what I've told you? Why are you supporting me? So I believe that somewhere down the line, their group has been talking to me, and I have answered, if not all, but most of the questions that they've answered. And I feel very confident that this group at least is very clear as to why they're supporting me. Okay, and I'm convinced. So that is the reason why I'm also interested in talking to you guys to understand where you guys are coming from. Because if 78% says that we support FTR, trust me very, very clearly, okay, I will go by the 78% votes, not by what I say. Hello?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it is equally important for the shareholders to speak up. I'll be very interested to know why people are opposing rights. Because, of course, I'm assuming that each person who opposes rights and demerger holds Nordic Mind shares. I'm not interested in talking to people who are not holding shares. Okay. If you're holding Nordic Mind shares, I will be deeply interested, okay, to talking to anybody who's opposing that, okay, because I want to understand where he or she is coming from. Okay, because and for him or her to analyze, I think it should be, I think it is really unfair that those papers are not being made public. It should be made public. And I will be deeply interested in talking to people who have not understood what Lao Tzu wants to do, or are not interested in the rights issue, or are supporting FTR. I'll be deeply interested in talking to you to understand why. What are the fundamental reasons, financial reasons, okay, that you think that FTR deal is better. Okay, I think that I would be tremendously motivated to talk to you guys.
Yeah, and I mean, that's what we've also been doing in the different channels to invite them here.
The point I'm trying to make, Nima, is that this is a one-way dialogue, that people are asking me questions and I'm answering. Okay,
that's good.
But please remember, and there are today 18 people who have joined. Yesterday there were 50 people. So 68 people don't represent even a sizable sample size. Right? But please try to understand one of the very clear reasons which I've told Annalie Inebe for me to be available to all the shareholders, to oppose FTR, to make my presentations public, to come in these webinars, is to understand the 78% public. Because as an investor, as a shareholder, okay, and as an experienced stock market investor, okay, 78% public, whether you like it or not, okay, over a period of time will be more correct than a single person holding 21 or 22%. The only problem in that analysis is that 78% shareholders should get at least 2 months to analyze all the papers. In this situation, what I feel is that where I believe that things are not going well is that papers have not been given to 78% shareholders so that they can sit and read those papers. NASDAQ law says very clearly that, if you do a demerger or there is a change of control to a majority, 51% to 60% of what have you, the shareholders need to get 60 days minimum to absorb all of that. Okay, so where I find myself in a very uncomfortable position is because I have read these papers, I can analyze, but this analysis is only one way. I am not benefiting out of this analysis because the second part of analysis, the two-way analysis, is not coming through to the shareholders. So I would be deeply interested in people who are opposing Lao Tzu, whether it be the Indian shareholders or Swedish shareholders, anybody who is opposing Lao Tzu. I won't say Lao Tzu, but I would say the strategy of Lao Tzu, the approach of Lao Tzu, rights issue, demerger. Well, anytime on an email or on a phone call, because I also want to understand what mindset, what is the analysis that you have done, okay, to come down to the conclusion that FTR is better. Buddha has asked, rights have been decided on meeting before, but they never have done. How will you get the board to carry out the rights? And when will Nomi publish your plan in PPN? Well, I think Buddha, I think that quite honestly speaking, from where I come from, rights issue should have been done at least about 4 months back. Okay, it should have been done somewhere around January. Very, very clearly, and it has been delayed. It has been made very complicated in the sense that a lot of complicated reasons have been given why it has not been done, and so I think that is where the problem lies. The problem lies is not to complicate it, but to simplicate it. Okay, if you simplify, the reasons. I mean, E is equal to MC square was just E is equal to MC square, right? There were not 30 pages written on it, right? So if one were to just simplify it, okay, to the most basic level, I think objectively speaking, okay, there are 3 things that I feel personally why rights was delayed. One was a complete irrational, and the word irrational is the correct word to use, complete irrational objection to demerger. Okay, when I say irrational, it means that the earlier board, okay, the current board has hardly spent any time, but the earlier board they have not provided any substantial reason as to why not to do the demerger. Okay, whereas Lao Tzu to date, to the new board, okay, and verbally in writing also, has exemplified based on clear industry trends, whether it is macro or micro, okay, and a pro forma financial model with publicly listed companies in detail, okay, to explain why should you do the demerger, okay, and by not being rational enough in exemplifying as to why they think they do not want to do the demerger, the rights issue has been delayed unstoppably. Okay, and that is reason number one. Reason number two is the fact that and this I could be wrong. This is my hunch. Okay, it is not factual. It is subjective. Okay, is because I believe somewhere down the line, I guess that the earlier board was, the earlier board might not have been too comfortable with Lao Tzu controlling the company, because a successful rights issue would have, at the current price, would take Lao Tzu towards about 35 to 36%, and and all of that. So I think that's my personal feeling that because a demerger is an execution issue, I can't stay as a shareholder to do a demerger. I have to be in the company at a board level or the management level to execute the demerger. So when I was always pushing for the demerger, I was also pushing for the fact that I will have my people, okay, who would be there in the board and the management to execute it. I guess somewhere down the line there was an objection or an obstruction to that. So these are the two reasons why rights issue went on getting postponed. All right, okay, and they should not have been. They should not have been, especially when you announce a rights issue. Okay. You should do the rights issue. Okay, if you announce a rights issue, not do a rights issue and cancel it twice, of course you will get a section 2.8 from NASDAQ. All right. Another reason given by the board, of course they have to support their thing, okay, is that fact that I never showed the underwriting commitment. All right, and I think honestly speaking that is complete nonsense. Okay, and nonsense again is the right word, because we had already created the underwriting agreement by Evli Bank. The escrow accounts had been created. Okay, I had to transfer the funds, and that was the day when the rights issue was announced. Why otherwise, why should a rights issue be announced? Okay, it is just that the conditions that Lao Tzu had was that it will be a demerger, and number two, there will be some representation, not all, but some representation from Lao Tzu and some representation of management to make sure that the demerger happens properly. Okay, so qualified people who know how to do the demerger will come in the board and the management. It was not to throw away the board; it was to add value to the board. Okay, and that never happened. And what came out was FTR. Okay. So now, as I think, and then of course section 2.8 came in. Okay, and section 2.8, when section 2.8 came in, I was a bit confused as like any other shareholder, because delisting a company is thoroughly demotivating. Okay, for me or to any other shareholder, and it has come down from a very big institution like NASDAQ. All right, and when section 2.8 came in, I distinctly thought that it was not in principle correct for me to market the rights under a scenario where there is a possible risk of a company being delisted. Okay, and that's the reason why my underwriting offer was cancelled in the last EGM, because I wanted to first confront the shareholders and tell them that this is exactly what the scenario is. Now what do we do? Okay, thus Buddha, I'm also getting a lot of questions in my email on the listing part, or rather on the delisting part, and they are very relevant questions, because even till today NASDAQ has not given a reply on whether the company will be delisted or not. Okay, I think in my opinion, and my subjective opinion, I think they would be. The company has 15,000 shareholders. It is a very big shareholder base, and it is only sense, it's common sense that Nasdaq will just not delist it for the heck of delisting it. Okay, they will give a chance to the company to pull up their socks. And that is, I think, why Nasdaq has not reacted. They are waiting for clarity as to what the shareholders and the board will do with the couple of options in FTR and rights issue which exists. And once that clarity is obtained, I think that if either one of the options, whether it is a rights issue option or an FTR option, this is my analysis, my judgment, that Nasdaq will make the company stay listed. All right, and what the board is saying, and that should also be very important for all the shareholders to know, is that two board of directors, and I don't want to name them. I think people are intelligent enough to understand who those two board members would be. Have said it very categorically that if Pranay is doing the demerger, we will quit. And this is exactly what has happened. Okay, right from the time that I have been trying to do the rights. Okay, we will quit, bring your board. Okay, when I bring my board, section 2.8 comes in. Now also it is the same. It is the same. It is saying that, Pranay, if you are doing the demerger, we will quit. Of course, they have their own, nobody can stop them, okay? And in which case, I will bring my own board members, okay, into the game. And what they say is that they are helping me to do the demerger in the way I want to, because then I can have my own people in the game and so on and so forth. And I don't have any problems doing that. Absolutely no problem. So to answer your question specifically, I think if you ask me, the board has already made up its mind to do the rights, but it is waiting for clarity from my side. And I am waiting clarity from the shareholders' side. So answering your question specifically, Buddha, the board more or less is very clear that if the shareholders want rights, they will go for rights. And they're waiting for the EGM to get that decision or the direction. Okay. And what has been told to me by the chairman, that Pranay, if you want to do the rights, then please bring your financial commitments on the table and get on with it. They have absolutely no problem doing the rights. Today, I think the responsibility lies on us shareholders to take that decision on rights versus FTR. Okay, and that's the reason why I'm spending time with you guys. The board has taken the easy way out in doing anything what the shareholders want, because at the end of it is a shareholders' decision. So they will do rights. If at all we want to do rights, this time they will do rights, 100%. No question about that. Mr. Panda, referring to today's PM from FTR, they have released an updated resource estimate and are planning on drilling in both Laiva, Minnesota, and is it not a bit premature to do so when the possible deal is not ready? Okay. It's a very timely question, okay, because today I spent close to about 40 minutes with a gentleman called John Arthur. He had written me an email saying that his invoices are not paid up, and he was the gentleman who was involved with SRK to certify the resource statement. and I understand very clearly that Legacy Hill Resources was on the job, on the anvil, okay, to make a reserve statement with some infill drilling, okay, that required capital. So I asked him very clearly that if the invoices are not paid, then they have to be paid. That is the least of the issues. But can you help me, okay, on getting an estimated, a management estimate of the reserves on the table, okay? Basically work done by Peter Kuiper, Peter Finas. The earlier resource statement, very important, because this is a very important question, extremely important question, okay? And this question indirectly was also asked by Hock Khan as to what is the reserves. And I would say to all my fellow shareholders that I think you guys should, and we all should, spend a lot of time in understanding this, because that is the core of the investment case, okay? And I think that what I asked him is that when I go for the rights issue, okay, I know judgmentally as to what has been told to me by the earlier management and this management as to what could be the possible reserves, okay, based on sorting, but that cannot be, used officially. So is there a possibility that we can have your resources and SRK's resources to illustrate a fairly good confidence level estimate of the reserves in the rights issue prospectus? And he's going to involve SRK and write me an email, and they will do that. They will do that, okay? So that's a good thing. And what John Arthur, who has published the resource statement, has told me that we should be spending about $1 million to do the infill drilling, okay, to get the actual reserves upgraded. And he told me that there is a fantastic potential, okay, that a good percentage of these reserves can be converted to of these resources can be converted to reserves. All right. So so when you say that they have released an updated resource estimate and are planning on drilling in both Laiva, Musuneva, and Kaukainen and what have you, I think that yes, it is 100% okay, premature to do it, 100%, because firstly I want to know from FTR what is their bloody strategy, what is their business model. Like, for example, you can agree or disagree to my demerger model, but I have tried to prove what is my demerger model. I've tried to prove what is the estimated how the cash flows will come in, what will be the EPS, how will it all be. I've given it. I don't know how FTR is basing their numbers from from where. The only thing that I've gotten to understand is blasting. Now, what is this blasting that? So when I confront this question, okay, to the earlier management and board, they laugh it off. Okay, they say that there is no way you can do anything, okay, to increase head grades from 0.8 to 1.8 on blasting. So before even going down to drilling in the south pit, north pit, blah 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 blah. Okay, I want to understand very clear. For example, when John Arthur says that we need to do drilling in strategic hotspots on the south pit, the objective is to extract out better head grades so that the throughput in the mine increases. Okay, so that your reserves are upgraded. There's a logic behind that. Okay, this guy is destroying all the work that has been done since the last 1 year on sorting, and is saying that sorting is bullshit. Okay, you guys don't understand anything about mining. Blasting is the way where we can increase head grades from 0.8 grams per ton to 1.8 grams per ton. Okay, which is around about a 75 to 80% increase. Okay, now to me, you don't require to be a miner, you just require to be a good financial analyst to say that this is This is complete bullshit. Okay, I mean, and then he says that gold will be produced in 6 months. So much so that the board has also written in the announcement that the gold will be produced in 6 months. But when I read those papers that he has given, he says that the first gold offtake that will go down to Pandion Finance will be in 2019 January, which is 1.5 years from now. So I'm getting a bit lost. I think what FTR should do is, rather than spending time on Pandion Finance, how much money they want to get, how much equity, they should take the shareholders into confidence, including me, take a workshop, okay, for a good 6 to 7 hours and take us through what is their business model based on which they want to mine, take out X kilos of gold, and thereby give us a guidance as to what the valuation of this company would be and what will be the strike valuation of this company would be if at all they take 60%. All those things are missing. All that they're trying to do is I think, create what we call as create a fog of speculation. We can do this, etc., etc., etc. Okay, so much so that, okay, guys, when I was given the position, I was told about 3 weeks to 4 weeks back by Hans Andreasson, okay, that Pranay, it is high time, and Vinod Sethi as well, okay, that it is high time that you come in as a chief executive officer, okay. and I had all the intentions to do that, all right, and I have all the intentions to do that. But before doing that, I told Vinod Sethi, okay, that Vinod, if FTR wants to take 51% to 60%, and if the shareholders, for whatever reason, might support FTR, who knows, okay, then why don't you give this first right of refusal to Michael Hepburn? And Michael Hepburn was given a very clear mandate of nominating his CEO in Nordic Mines, and he's got a star member in some gentleman who works with an equivalent, who works with a consultancy firm like SRK, okay, and this entire strategy, or rather they're putting the money on him, this consultant, so as to say, all right. So I said, why doesn't this consultant come and sit as the CEO? Reasons from he's on a holiday to being he's in the board, his mobile is not working, blah, 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 blah. They did not accept that offer. Okay. To which Vinod Sethi says that that's the point, Pranay, I completely lost confidence in FTR when they say that they indeed have a team. Okay. So the right of FTR to put the CEO in place and control the entire company was given to them. Okay. Today they are dependent on hiring Nordic resources. They don't have a crack team. Where is the bloody operating team they're talking about? I want to meet this guy from this SRK Consulting and ask him, are you going to be the CEO? What is your business model, your mining model, and so on and so forth? Please take us through that. All this nonsense about, I'll be drilling over there, I'll be drilling over there. I mean, you have only put $0.8 million Michael Hepburn. Only $0.8 million, and you are basically acting as if you're putting $80 million. And try to think you're an owner of the company. Ridiculous. So I completely understand that this is all hogwash. I think he has to come down, brass tacks, down to earth, and tell everybody what is his business model. Transparently with those two papers in his hand. What is his mining model, business model? How does he want to increase his head grades? How does he want to increase his throughput? What is the operative model? When does he want to produce the gold? And with these two papers, what is the strike value? What is in it for Nomi shareholders? At the end of the day, tell me, give me a price, Swedish kroner per share. What is the price? What is the guidance that you're giving me? I've tried to ask him all wishy-washy answers, all vague answers. When tough questions are asked, he's in the under the ground where he can't listen to me. Fair enough. I mean, I think all shareholders should, even before the EGM, I think before the EGM happens, to be fair to all the shareholders, including me, I think the board should tell Nordic, to tell FTR that please come down ASAP to Stockholm, and we will call as many shareholders, take a workshop with them for 7 hours, 6 to 7, 1 day dedicated workshop. And milk will be milk, water will be water. I think all this nonsense about we will drill over here, we will drill, well, get your business model clear here. What is the business case? What is the business case in which I should give you 60%? Okay. Is there any other question?
I haven't received anything here on the chat, but anyone else have any question? If you want to talk directly, yeah.
Yes, there's one question from, let me see who that was. Sorry. From Gunnar N. Gunnar, how come the original investors from Laosu have sold? You must have known them. What was the reason?
Listen, first of all, I don't, if somebody sells their shares, it is not, nobody can stop you selling your shares. Okay. So, so there is nothing wrong in selling shares. Okay. But what you're trying, or for the matter of buying shares. Okay. I will also sell my 21-22% at some point in time. Trust me. You will not see Lao Tzu or Pranay Panda talking on Lao Tzu for greater than a year. My benchmark is 1 year. In 1 year, I want to sell my 22%. I can't wait for more than 1 year. The reason why I'm trying to put money behind the mouth is because I want to increase my valuation. Okay, and that's the reason I'm taking a risk. Okay, if FTR would have given me the price, I would have agreed to it, but it's not giving me the price, or not giving any shareholder its price. All it takes, right? So buying and selling is not wrong. Okay, it is. So what you are trying to ask me, why? Why could possibly some of the shareholders sell? I've given this answer once too often. Okay, see, and this is again my judgment. I could be wrong in this. What I have seen is what I'm trying to tell you. What anybody does with his or her shares is not my business. Okay. See, the point is that when the shares were transferred off to those people, the rest of the guys, there were 2 announcements that were made. Distinctly, I remember. One announcement was when one announcement was on the 30th of November, when the outsourcing deal was announced. Yeah, I was in Bombay. That announcement was done, and as soon as that announcement was done, Nasdaq put a halt to the trading for 1 hour because there was too much of information to absorb, and they opened the trading after 1 hour. And because I follow share prices and volumes practically every day. Okay, every day, opening and closing. Okay, and that day about close to about 80 million shares. No, I would say 90 million shares were sold on a single day. Okay, and never have those kind of volumes ever occurred in the trading history. Okay, of Nordic Mines ever since at least I took over the asset. Okay, the best was something around 20, 21, 25 million. Right. So when 90 million shares were sold, okay, so the prices went to zero. When the announcement was made, the prices touched 1 Swedish krona. Okay, and immediately at 1 Swedish krona, people started selling the shares. And it was very heavy selling at 1 Swedish kronor. Okay, and the 90 million shares was sold at one. Most of them were sold at 1 SEK, and then it came back to about 0.60, and that was very abnormal. That was very abnormal. I can tell you, it shocked me because, of course, I can tell you officially, the Laosu did not even sell one share, not a single share. Right. So if I did not sell one share, who would have, so many shares to sell? All right. So indeed, some shares, some serious amount of shares were sold. I did not ask anybody as to why they were sold. Right. The second time when I saw a very huge volume in Nordic Mines coming into play was when FTR's joint venture was announced. 125 million shares were sold. Close to about 45% of the company was sold. 45%. Can also tell you the Laosu did not sell even one share then, not even one share. Okay. So who sold those shares? Right. And again, I did not go deep into figuring that out, but common sense will say it. I'm officially telling that in both the occasions, when 90 million was sold and when 125 million of the Laosu did not sell any shares. Okay. See, I think that the only reason, why possibly these shares could have been sold, is because somewhere down the line, which I know very clearly, that when the shareholders came in to acquire the asset, different expectations were given at different levels. Some came in to make a fast buck. So there was a trading arbitrage thing. Okay, some came in to organically invest. Okay, for the long term. I know one respectable investor who would surely, not now, but when FTR was announced, was voting for FTR, not HTT, but somebody else. Okay, and I don't know about now. Now I think he must have changed his mind after this pandemic. I can tell you, even if at all he's against the rights issue, he's a pretty respectable investor. Okay, and he was for the long term. So I doubt whether he has sold his share. So there were some shareholders who 100% would have some, so because they were there for the short term. I think they figured it out that there is too much of nonsense happening with the company. Okay, the sorting shit. Okay, then board of directors not going along well with each other. Okay, Laosu quitting the show, lack of funding, so on and so forth. So like any other normal shareholder, they cashed out here. You should not read too much into that. They cashed out. So so that's it. I mean, it's not rocket science. So that's the most that I can tell you. I can't tell you anything more than that because I don't know anything more than this. No, De Niro, I can't. Once the shares go down to, for example, if I transfer you your shares, what business do I have to ask you what you're doing with your shares? You can sell and buy whatever you want to do. As much as you would think that selling is bad, okay, buying is also bad then. So I don't have any locus standi to ask anybody what people do with their shares. Of course, they have a reason to buy and they have a reason to sell, and the selling reasons are much more. The selling reasons are much more valid, okay, or much more enforceable and much more relevant than staying invested. Okay, so for example, much to the same reason, when I started speaking to some of the shareholders to ask them whether they can support Laosu for rights. Okay, I got lots of replies that Mr. Panda, we've already sold our shares. So I think that the reason is much as the same as any other reason, that NASDAQ fines, NASDAQ penalties, board not coordinating well, rights issue being cancelled, stock prices coming down from 0.80. You see, please try to understand that when we acquired the asset, please try to understand one thing very clearly. okay, that when we acquired the asset, we had raised 8 million euros. Okay, 5 million euros went to UniCredit Bank, okay, to settle off their loan. So that was sunk cost. That was not used for the business. 3 million euros came in from shareholders like you, small shareholders, from the rights issue. Okay, and it was an unsecured rights issue. That means it was not underwritten. Okay, so 3 million euros came in. So we had, and the company had close to around about €1 million with them. So when we took over the asset, we had 4 million euros cash with us. With 4 million euros cash, okay, and the entire debt being taken off, except for the composition debt, the company was valued at 0.72 to 0.80 Swedish kroners. Please go down to the pricing history. Okay, you will see it that the median price for about good 4 to 5 months was 0.72 to 0.80. Okay, it is only when and this answers your question as to why possibly people could. It is only when the management started publishing the financial reports, that is when the market started seeing that the company does not have cash. The cash is getting depleted, because out of that 4 million euros, somebody asked me, how do you know that the processing plant is of a very big size? And the monthly cost of keeping the processing plant under care and maintenance, the figure that was given to me was 300,000 euros, the monthly cost. Okay, so it was obvious that if anybody reads the balance sheet, the cash flow statement will see or show that 300,000 euros every month is going down towards care and maintenance. So at that run rate, your 4 million euros is just wiped off in a year's time. And that's exactly what has happened. Okay, we are today cashless and have no cash, because when we had that 4 million, we did not do the demerger. We did not hide that smelting plant away and give it to somebody else. We did not do that. Had we done that, the 4 million euros would have remained for the mine. It would have gone into the care and maintenance of the processing plant. So when I distinctly know that the stock prices came down to the level as what it is today, okay, or as what it is today, okay, on every quarterly report announcement. So it started coming down when NASDAQ declared observation period, when the quarterly report was published in June, then in September, and then in December. Okay, and systematically the market started seeing that the company is running out of cash. So when they started seeing that the money is coming out of cash, they started pricing in bankruptcy by only giving the shareholders the value of the processing plant. It's a very good question, and if you see today, the price of 0.28, which is about $20 million odd, is not the price that you're getting off the mine. Don't be under the wrong impression that you're getting the price of Laiva. For Laiva, today you're getting zero. You're getting the valuation that remains of the processing plant. The processing plant, which is non-operative today, is valued at $21 million. If it is operative, it's a very simple way of saying it. It's a very simple way. It becomes operative. That is when you get the valuation of the processing plant towards at least 60 million euros, because that was actually the cost of making the processing plant. That is how you get the numbers of 1 SEK or $60 million or $72 million, because the processing plant becomes operative. Today it is a non-operative asset. Okay, That is the reason I'm saying, friends, if rights issue is successful, what you do is you make the market believe that the processing plant will become operative, and thus it becomes a saleable asset, a pledgeable asset. Okay. So answering your question, I think quite a lot of these guys might have seen through that the company will go through the to a liquidity crunch, and they were shareholders. They sold the shares. So there should not be any rocket science in that, to be honest. But good you asked this question, because it kind of got into an analytical answer, because it is quite interesting to understand that why am I doing demerger? I'm doing demerger to unlock the value of the mine. Today, I'm getting 0 SEK for the mine. If I separate it out, I will get the value that the mine deserves. One of the reasons why you should do the demerger is because then the market can see both the assets independently. Today, that value is locked. You're not getting any value for the mine. If I ask Dinero, can you tell me, out of the $20 million that out of the 0.285 SEK that we have today, how much belongs to mine and how much belongs to the processing plant? Do that simple exercise. Very simple exercise, and you will come down to the conclusion that you should do the demerger. Okay. Also, I think it should be mentioned very clearly that the exercise of understanding what is the division of valuation between the two portfolios that you have. Okay, I would even say 3 portfolios. Okay, what are the 3 portfolios that you have? All right, one is of course the South Pit and the North Pit. Well, the entire mine is round about 5,000 hectares. Okay, so the 2,500 hectares is what covers South Pit and North Pit, and of course the processing plant. A good 50% of the asset is still unexplored. So there are 3 portfolios. Okay, one is the South Pit and the North Pit. That is what Laiva mine is. That is what we are trying to get it operative. Okay. Second one is the processing plant, which is a portfolio, which is an asset. A third one are the assets which are yet not explored. All right. I think everybody of us should be deeply interested is what is the independent valuation of these 3 assets. And then you will understand why this company is so thoroughly undervalued. Okay, that is the reason why you should understand why we should do rights, because rights will bring the stocks to the same price as it was in the mid of 2016 when the company had 4 million euros. When the company had 4 million euros cash, okay, 4 million euros of cash, Nordic Mines was valued at 0.72 SEK median price. Anybody's guess, when you have 8 million euros in cash, won't you have a minimum price of that range? And today we have a $20 million valuation. When we picked up the asset, it was $7 million. Okay. Somebody's John. You were in the board until 2017. Also, it says further, Dinero, Mr. Panda, no mine company has been successful when a demerger was applied. What makes you believe it will succeed with Nordic Mines?
Yeah.
No, Dinero, I think.
Take one last question because it's 8 already.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes, I'll take 2 questions and I'll finish it off. Okay. Dinero, I think it is wrong. I think you're factually completely wrong. You should go through my PowerPoint presentation. I've already given you at least 9 case examples. There is one gold mine that I've taken which is tremendously successful. which is like really, really successful. And I've given you other examples of the mining industry where practically all the demergers have been successful. And when I say successful, successful does not mean 20%, 30% increase. Dinero, I think you have come late. I've already mentioned that. The gold mine details have been given in my PowerPoint presentation. Please go through it. If you want to ask for the gold mine name, I will give it in the EGM. So you are wrong. You are factually wrong. You are factually completely wrong. I will say that all the demergers that have happened from 2012 to 2015 and 2016 have not only been successful, Dinero, they have been successful by a good margin of 60 to 80%. That is, pre-demerger and post-demerger, the combined stock value has increased by 60% to 80%. And that is the reason why I'm saying that this gold mine, only the processing plant is valued between 0.6 towards $60 million to $72 million. It's a listed asset. So you're factually wrong. Okay. So you should go through the data first. Okay. John, and I'll take this last question.
Yeah, good.
You were the board until 2017 also, and it says the suggestion of the board was Lao Tzu. How come you did not explain all this? John, I didn't understand your question. Are you trying to say that it says the suggestion of the board? No. John, I understand what you're trying to say now. I understand what you're trying to say now. Well, we can take this question, but I don't know how it helps today's scenario. I don't know how it helps deciding anybody whether you should take FTR or whether you should take rights or what you should do. It doesn't. I think it's an irrelevant question. Well, why is it relevant? Why are you into? Because I will answer it. Because exactly. So it's not a relevant question, right? But I can answer. My number is 070-5526-078. I will write it down. You can give me a call, and I will answer it. But here is my number. Just give me a call. I will answer it. So give me a call on the number that I've given. I will answer you this question, and it's a very easy question to answer. It's no big deal, but it's not relevant. Why John is asking why not explain to them all this with the demerger instant lasers and such. I've already explained that, John, you have to go through my PowerPoint presentation. I will stick to that, John, because John, I am very touchy when I work hard to give a presentation to the public and to the board. Sorry to say, I get a bit pissed off, okay, when you don't see the presentation. Okay, you have to read the presentation before asking me questions. All the personal emails that come down to me, all the shareholders have read the presentations, and after reading the presentation, they have the doubts. They ask me the question. Please read the presentation. It is.
Yeah, but he will do that, and then he will get back to you. You also gave him his number, so it's fine.
Yeah.
Yes.
Dinero, my presentations. Give me your email ID. I will. Dinero, you can give me your email ID. I will post it to you.
Yes, and there was one named the Sun or something.
Yeah, I have.
He
that
also
email.
wanted your press. Yes,
that
good. So Nima has that. Good.
Yeah. Good.
All right.
Thank you.
Well, then thank you very much for this webinar, and thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Rane.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay. See ya.
Okay.
Bye.
See you guys. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.